Hey, good morning everyone. Typical Hunks Adventure here. Today I want to talk about how my parents never taught me financial responsibility. This isn't something you would also learn in school, or at least not something that I was able to learn in high school. And I remember getting my credit card at 18 years old. I think it only had a $500 limit, and eventually it went up to like $750. Now this was, of course, before, I believe, the age requirement for credit cards had gone up. I think it was literally the year after. Um, but yeah, I remember just buying anything and everything. I had the purchasing power to buy games or merchandise and just collectibles of things that I wanted. Were they cool? Sure. Was it dumb? Absolutely. And one of the issues was just not paying, that card off each month. It would be, oh, alright, well, I can add this thing to it, I can add that to it, I can pay the minimum amount, which will slowly chip away, but then I would use more of it. It would just get to the point where it'd be maxed out, and then I would have to pay it down, and then it would get maxed out, I'd pay it down, and just, repeat. And that's not exactly good for your credit score, which wasn't something I was necessarily worried about as, a young adult. And I don't think it really became apparent until my wife and I were looking at buying our first house. I had the income, but I had horrible credit. I think it was down in like the mid 600s, and she had excellent credit in the 800s, but not enough of income. So it kind of had, negative impacts in terms of that. And I remember reaching out to a credit repair agency to try and repair some of the credit, because one of the reasons I had such low credit, besides just bad financial responsibilities, was that I had some dental work done back when I was like a teenager. I was able to take out a card. Again, taking out cards, no parental guidance in terms of like, hey, don't do this, or I don't know if my parents even had dental insurance, but the thing too is my parents, they went and filed through bankruptcy when I was finishing high school, so not the best role models in terms of that either. But I remember getting a card that was specific for dental work, and I think that had like a higher limit. And of course the dentist that I was going to, I went to due to convenience. They were near my home, but they were laser dentistry, so not just any normal dentistry. So of course the work they were doing was more expensive, and I think it was actually cheaper to just not even have anything in terms of like no insurance or no card or anything like that, to get a deeper discount. Now of course you'd have to have that money cash in hand, but they may have hit payment plans too. But so some of my credit went down due to having different cards that I was owing a lot on. I believe I did pay off that card and had it closed down way before all that, but that probably still didn't help for a bit. But then I also had a root canal done, and that didn't get processed correctly in the system, and it showed that I owed money on it when I didn't, because I had like a student waiver from being in tech school. So the credit repair agency was able to help there and get that figured out. Another one was I owed a credit card company some money. I think it was supposed to be my last bill, and it was like $80, and I remember paying it off, but somehow it didn't get all of the amount, and some excess fee or amount of like 80 cents or something like that, or whatever it may have been, didn't get paid. I just never got statements from them, and I never checked because I assumed I had paid it off, and my plan was not to use that card again unless needed. And eventually collectors came after me, but I had moved, so it made it harder. So then it really took a ding to my credit. But thanks to the credit repair agencies, I was able to get some of those things cleared up. Now that doesn't just mean my credit score is gonna skyrocket again, but those were things that were helpful. And another tip that I learned that was really helpful that I still use is making sure that if you do owe on credit cards, to keep it at or under 30% of whatever the max limit is. So, for instance, if you have a credit line of $1,000, don't allow your balance of anything that you owe to exceed over $300. Keep it under that, or even better, just make sure it's paid off if possible. And with that, my credit score did grow. We were able to buy our first house. That was awesome. But now, fast forward many years later to the year 2023, and due to various things such as home projects, landscaping projects, some medical issues that we had going on, and just my guilty pleasures of hobbies and things like that, I had amassed about $20,000 in debt. And it was certainly a wake-up call for me, because I had feared that my poor financial habits were coming back and something definitely needed to change. So around that time, it was toward the fall of 2023, and I really started to look at my finances, if we have like any kind of subscriptions, where our money was being spent, things I could cut back on, trying to be frugal, looking into items I didn't need that could be sold. And that kind of bled into 2024, which with the event of potentially moving, we have I have a lot of Pokemon product that I was storing as a sealed collector, hoping to save these things for many years to sell down the road or give to my kids, whatever the case may be. But when you're thinking of moving, it's rather selfish to have that many items and things that are being used in totes and boxes and stuff like that you're then needing to move, especially if you are looking to try and pay off debts and things like that. And then with moving, you don't want to have a lot of debt either, because you want to have a good credit score and not have these certain things lingering when looking to buy a house, if possible, of course. And so I was fortunate enough to have these items, and it wasn't like I just blew money on things that I couldn't resell or actually physically have to sell. And I ended up selling a lot of the Pokemon boxes that I had, which helped me pay off chunks, in thousands of that debt. And then, of course, changing my spending habits, that slowly saved me, like $1,000 or so each month as well. Until I got to the point where, I kind of reevaluated as well, just like in my life and my spending habits, and things I actually needed versus didn't need, and even in terms of investments, where sure, you could buy this box for $100, and then a year or two down the road it'll be worth a couple $100, and that's great, and maybe it keeps going up, maybe it gets stagnant, but the thing is, if you can't afford certain things, then what happens is, is that couple $100 profit really a couple $100 profit? If for some reason you're accruing interest and you're needing to pay on that on a credit card that you can't just pay off each month, then that's eating away at your profit in the future. And that only amplifies if you're constantly buying these things expecting to make a profit on it, but you're just continually racking up credit, then you're not necessarily doing yourself a favor either. Especially if you end up needing to sell early, and then you never really made that profit, but now you're even more in the hole because of owing more money on the card. And with months of sacrifice, selling a lot of Pokemon cards that I accumulated that I definitely did not need, and then just having better financial habits, not only was I able to pay off the 20 grand in debt that I had on a card, but I was also able to start saving money, which was great because that was something I hadn't really been doing before. And in turn with all of this as well, my credit score had kept growing until it was over 800. So now that I've been saving money and have saved up what I would hope to have as a goal before kind of looking into other options, I'm kind of in the same boat now with a lack of knowledge. While saving is great, I feel like I'm doing it wrong. I shouldn't say wrong, but having just a traditional savings account, while it may be good, it's not the best thing depending on certain circumstances, especially if your savings account like mine is only earning like 0.04% or something like that a month, where you're basically getting pennies to the thousands, versus something else like a high yield savings account where you might earn 4 something percent, which is like a night and day in terms of what you would make over a year. Example could be that maybe by the end of the year you make $7 versus making, I don't know, $700. So that is something that I am going to be looking more into. I'll have a follow-up video kind of going over my journey with that, my research, different avenues and things that I've looked into, because there's so much in terms of investing or looking into like short-term, mid-term, long-term, depending on if you're looking into stocks or bonds, CDs, different savings, etc. That is something that I'll be looking into. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed hearing my journey, maybe this will help inspire you to work on paying off debts or things that you've maybe accumulated, maybe trying to change your mindset in saving and really just focusing on the important things that you absolutely need. But that's going to do it for this video, so stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next one.